let's talk about Geoffrey Hinton. For half a century, he was the guy behind the technology that powers pretty much all modern AI. He's one of its creators. And then he suddenly walked away from his life's work at Google with a single urgent mission to warn us all about the very thing he helped bring into the world.
Trained to be a plumber. Now, why on earth would one of the most brilliant minds in computing give that advice? Well, by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly what he means and why it's a dead serious warning for every single one of us.
Okay, so first things first, who exactly is Geoffrey Hinton and why should we listen when he speaks? Why does his warning carry so much weight?
For 50 years, Hinton was the champion of artificial neural networks, this idea of modeling AI on the human brain. For a long time, a lot of people in the field thought it was a dead end. But, well, he was right. It's the very foundation of systems like ChatGPT. His work was so groundbreaking that Google bought his company and he spent a decade there, basically leading the charge.
And then, in 2023, he just walked away. He quit his prestigious, high-paying job. But this wasn't about retirement. He left so he could be totally free to speak his mind and warn the world about the dangers of his own creation.
So what happened? What was the big turning point? What did he suddenly realize that made him sound the alarms so loudly? It all comes down to a really fundamental difference between our biological brains and the digital minds we're building.
Hinton's aha moment wasn't just that AI was getting smarter, it was realizing how it gets smarter. He suddenly grasped that these digital systems can learn and share knowledge in a way that we humans, well, we just can't even begin to compete with. And the difference in scale here is just staggering. Think about it. If you have 1,000 different AIs and each one learns a new skill, they can instantly merge all that knowledge into one single updated supermind. It's like a perfect hive mind. We have to slowly share ideas by talking or writing. They can update each other at the speed of light. When one of us learns something, it stays locked inside our own head. When one of them learns something, they all know it, instantly. So this incredible learning advantage, it creates two very different kinds of threats. And Hinton says we absolutely need to get our heads around both of them, like right now. Okay, so the first kind of threat, it's the stuff we're already seeing pop up in the headlines. These are the short-term risks, the ones that come from bad actors getting their hands on these incredibly powerful tools. We're talking about supercharged cyber attacks, the terrifying potential for someone to design a new virus from their laptop, or even swarms of autonomous drones on the battlefield. But you know, as dangerous as all that is, what truly keeps Hinton up at night is the second threat. It's the long-term, existential risk. The risk that AI becomes so much smarter than us that it takes control and just decides it doesn't need us anymore. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The core of the threat isn't some cheesy sci-fi movie with evil robots. It's about a complete loss of control. It's about humanity no longer being the smartest thing on the planet, in the same way a chicken on a farm is absolutely not in charge of its own destiny. So what are the odds? When people press him, Hinton gives his gut feeling. He thinks there's a 10 to 20% chance that superintelligence could eventually wipe out humanity. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but the stakes are literally everything. So even a small chance is, well, it's terrifying. But while the whole end of humanity thing is the ultimate danger, Hinton is also warning about a much more immediate disruption, one that's already starting to hit the workforce. And here's the crucial point. Previous big tech shifts, like the Industrial Revolution, they mostly replaced muscle. They replaced physical manual labor. This is totally different. This revolution is coming for cognitive labor. It's coming for the work we do with our brains. Hinton gives this perfect real-world example. His own niece works for health service, and her job is to answer letters of complaint. It used to take her 25 minutes for each letter. Now, with an AI chatbot helping her out, it takes 5 minutes. So suddenly, one person can do the work that 5 people used to do. Now imagine that playing out across millions and millions of jobs. It forces some enormous questions about what our society is going to look like. And this brings us right back to that startling piece of advice from the beginning. Routine, intellectual work, jobs done at a desk. They're suddenly looking very vulnerable. But jobs that need complex physical skills, real dexterity, and messy, unpredictable environments, for right now, those are a lot harder for a robot to do. So yeah, your plumber is probably safer than your paralegal. So, if you put all this together, the fact that digital minds are superior, the existential risk, the massive job displacement, it all leads to one huge, terrifying question. What on earth do we do now? Hinton's analogy here is just perfect. Right now, we are raising this tiger cub of AI. It's amazing, it's powerful, it's kind of cute, but it is growing up fast. And we have a very, very small window to figure out how to make sure that when it's fully grown and way more powerful than we are, that it's still on our side. Now, Hinton's a realist. He says trying to stop or even slow down AI development is basically a fantasy. The competition between companies and countries is just way too intense. So the only real path forward, he argues, is a massive effort, like on the scale of the Manhattan Project, to solve the safety problem. And it's not about building some kind of digital cage to control it if it turns on us, because if it's smarter than us, it'll just get out. It's about figuring out how to raise that tiger cub so it never wants to harm us in the first place. And that really is the question, isn't it? It's the one Hinton has dedicated the final chapter of his life to asking, and it's not some thought experiment for philosophers anymore. He believes it's the most urgent, practical problem facing humanity today. And our answer, well, it might just define our entire future.